Gary Hess and Gary Criswell here at Thomasdale High School, where tonight on that field we opened our season of Sports Radio 910 high school football with a classic Battle of Chester.
Number 30 in a row for Lloyd C. Bird, but it won't be remembered that way. It'll be remembered about the 2014 Battle of Chester, where 6,000 people showed up. In 2 years, 15,000 will claim to have been here.
43-yard Hail Mary. Jalen Elliott to DeJohn Dorsey on the final play preserves the win streak. Skyhawks win 20-15. Dale rallied to lead 15-14 in the fourth quarter. Kevin Tucker had his team do all the right things. They played in the second half like they really wanted this one.
They were very well prepared. They came up with some offense when they needed to with a really clever counter play at the right time. They threw the ball around a little bit with their sophomore quarterback, just enough to stretch the defense. And some of his skill players came back for cameo roles on offense and got some big runs in the red zone and helped build that lead. But it was all about the opportune defense and special teams that translated Bird turnovers into points, and that was what put them ahead. They just couldn't. The defense needed one more play, and they just couldn't muster it.
Skyhawks found a way to get it done, and how much is that a team that's used to winning, pushing it to the very limit, but still finding a way to win?
And it's also a team that's used to losing by one touchdown or late or special circumstances. They're 0-2, and they're 2 plays away. A turnover last week against Bird, and a knockdown pass here against Lloyd C. Bird, or anything that kept Bird from getting in that position. They're 1 play away from winning that game, 2 plays away from being undefeated. They're going to be fine. That's the lesson of this game. Both Lloyd C. Bird and Thomas Dale's opponents better watch out, because both teams, unless I've completely misread Thomas Dale, both of these teams are going to get a lot better from this experience.
If you haven't yet, check out our interview that came in the postgame with David Bedwell. It's not going to be a pleasant week at practice for the Skyhawks.
No. It's going to be, but it's going to be learning. It's going to be constructive, and they've got kind of the softest spot of their schedule coming up right now. So it's going to be plenty of time to work. It's going to be plenty of time to meet out the playing time. There won't be any risk of spoiling the record or breaking the streak or anything, because if you're not earning it, you're not gonna be out there the next couple of weeks, I can tell you.
Okay, Manchester, very hard-fought victory with Meadowbrook tonight. Douglas Freeman holds on, goal line stand to preserve a win over James River. What have we learned week 0 and week 1 into the high school football season?
Well, as we talked about it before, we thought Douglas Freeman really needed this because of that the 5A, how much talent is in 5A, and it's still happening that way. With James River, I think they've got a little bit more room in 6A, and of course, they lost to Freeman, who's going to win. They're going to win 7 or 8 games. Is not going to hurt them. So, yeah, that game was not as crucial, and the team that really needed it won that game. The other things that's jumping out at me again, Meadowbrook, Thomas Dale, people that are licking their chops because they've got 2 guys that are 0-2. Forget about that. They got beat by quality opponents, and it took all 48 minutes to get it done.
It's going to be very interesting as we get rolling. Now, next week, we're going to have to muddle through a game of the week without Coach Criz. He has an excused absence. We'll be back on the 20th, and when you and I get together again, it'll be Hermitage and Verina.
Can't wait for that, but are we going to talk about next week's game?
Next week, yeah. Meadowbrook may be 0-2, but we're going to do Meadowbrook and Highland Springs next week as the Monarchs dedicate their newly, redone field and stadium.
I hate to miss that because I wasn't a real big fan of the old place, so I'll be glad to see them in it. And they're a class organization, and I will hate to miss those games. And I'm assuming that Highland Springs score held up. They were leading early in their game,
yeah.
And but I think they've got a sophomore quarterback. Meadowbrook has a great tailback. I think it's going to be a game along these lines. Not teams that know each other as well as these 2 teams know each other, but I think the Meadowbrook Highland Springs games have been very, very entertaining, at least from the standpoint of players have a tendency to merge the way those 2 teams, the way that those 2 systems operate. and that makes for a fun game, especially in week 3 of the season.
And we look forward to it as well. So we're off and running with another season of high school football on Sports Radio 910. He's Gary Criswell. I'm Gary Hess.